KFVS 12, this is Heartland News.
Our top story, an emotional homecoming for Americans killed at the embassy bombings in Africa. Good day, everyone. Just under a week after the horrific bombings in East Africa, the bodies of 10 Americans killed in the embassy attacks finally arrived home. The president was at Andrews Air Force Base to lead the country in mourning. He called them heroes. Jonathan Freed joins us now live at Andrews Air Force Base.
Good afternoon from Andrews Air Force Base. This morning, this place was a focus for national frustration and sorrow. The president pointed the way. It is perhaps one of the most difficult responsibilities for any president, leading a nation in grieving its fallen heroes. The president and the first lady arrived at Andrews Air Force Base this morning to do just that. 6 days after the explosions in Kenya and Tanzania that shocked the world, the bodies of 10 of the 12 Americans killed in the embassy attacks were arriving home. The president and Mrs. Clinton headed into a hangar at Andrews Air Force Base to comfort the victims' families and to try to help the country deal with its collective sense of loss.
We can only hope that even in grief, you can take pride and solace in the gratitude all the rest of us have for the service they gave.
The memorial ceremony was set against the backdrop of encouraging words from American investigators. The FBI is sounding more confident that it's zeroing in on the vehicle that delivered the deadly bomb in Nairobi.
Our evidence people have in fact been, as I say, sifting through the material and have been successful in, we think, identifying certain parts of the delivery vehicle.
And a number of people were being detained in Kenya. U.S. authorities say at least 2 of them may have had something to do with the terrorist attacks. But there was more frustrating news. The State Department has confirmed that the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Prudence Bushnell, who was injured in the attack, complained last year that security at the Nairobi embassy needed urgent improvement. The State Department admitted that money problems meant that not all requests could be met. But this morning, it was time to focus on the latest Americans who gave their lives for their country. As the country tries now to put this aspect of the bombings behind it, there is word that FBI Director Louis Freeh plans to head to Africa next week for a first-hand look into the investigation. At Andrews Air Force Base, Jonathan Freed, CBS News. Back to you.
And Secretary of State Madeleine Albright also spoke at the memorial service. She says again that they vow to track down and bring the bombers to justice. The parents of Capitol shooting suspect may have to testify against their son. Russell Weston Sr. and his wife Arba Jo spoke to the press yesterday after a second visit with them. They have been asked to appear before a grand jury. They were subpoenaed Tuesday. The Westons don't object to testifying, but were surprised by the subpoenas. But in just the last hour, the Westons' attorneys met with a federal judge to challenge the subpoenas, and they will not have to appear before the grand jury today. The Westons are heading back home to Southern Illinois. Last night, we told you that police in New Madrid County recovered a body from a county cornfield. 64-year-old Elmer Underwood Sr. had been missing since Monday night. His truck was found resting at the edge of a cornfield just off Highway 153 late yesterday afternoon. Police say Underwood had a history of heart trouble and cancer. A landmark settlement is sending $1.2 billion to survivors of the World War II Holocaust. Tens of thousands of Holocaust victims deposited money in Swiss banks as the Nazis gained power. They never got it back. Jewish groups are hailing the settlement. The first payments will go to Jews with the worst financial need, most of whom still live in Eastern Europe. The murder case of Jean-Benet Ramsey is going to a grand jury. You may remember 6-year-old Jean-Benet was found beaten and strangled in her family's home on Christmas Eve, 1996. Now the Boulder, Colorado District Attorney says he'll convene a grand jury despite an earlier announcement by Colorado Governor Roy Romer that he would not appoint a special prosecutor in the case because of criticism that the DA had bungled the case. Two Chicago boys charged in the murder of a young girl may be going home soon. A juvenile court judge is deciding today whether the 7- and 8-year-old boys can be released until another hearing is held to determine guilt. The boys are charged with killing 11-year-old Ryan Harris last weekend. Police say they were after her shiny new bike. 1,300 people gathered for the funeral of 5 little girls killed when they were accidentally locked in a car trunk. The 5 girls, 4 of whom were cousins, were inseparable in life and are buried together in death. Their families chose to give them a joint funeral and bury them all in a common grave. The 5 girls were playing in the trunk of a 1993 Saturn when the lid closed. With no way to open it from inside, the girls were trapped as the temperature rose to an estimated 140 degrees. A special UN envoy is in Iraq today to try to calm tensions. Saddam Hussein has refused to cooperate with UN weapons inspectors until economic sanctions against Iraq are lifted. The envoy arrived in Baghdad today to deliver a message from UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. No word on what it says. Also today, a state-run paper repeated Iraqi allegations that Chief Weapons Inspector Richard Butler was working on behalf of the United States to prolong the sanctions. Millionaire adventurer Steve Fawcett is taking a slow ride today. His attempt to circle the globe in a balloon has slowed to a relative crawl. The Chicago Adventurer's ground control team says the speed of the balloon's solo Spirit has slowed to about 40 miles an hour. Fawcett is currently over the Indian Ocean, more than 2,000 miles west of Australia. The ground control team at Washington University in St. Louis says it is trying to find an altitude that will put Fawcett back on a faster track. Well, eating right and exercising can help you shed pounds, but are there pills that have the power to help you lose weight as well? That's ahead in Heartland Health. And can rattlesnake venom help people like this woman who have heart problems?
Across the Heartland today, we've got pretty nice conditions, a little bit of haze, but so far dry. Will it stay dry? We'll talk about that. 81, the high so far today. That's below our average of 88.
Your most dependable source for weather, the Heartland Storm Team on KFVS 12.
Well, pretty nice day across the Heartland. We've got a little bit of haze out there, but overall, no big deal. And it looks like activity going on at the noon hour. Looks like a little bit of an ambulance going up Kings Highway here. But again, no problems overall. Will it stay calm the rest of the day? We'll talk about that in just a moment. 81. Winds are out of the northeast at 5. Humidity 68%, but lower than it has been at this time over the past couple of days. Barometric pressure 3009. It's holding steady, and no rain in our rain gauge as of yet. Live Storm Team radar. This is the 75-mile scan of southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, west Kentucky, northwest Tennessee, and northeastern Arkansas. We're not seeing anything at this point. Storm Team Next Rad is showing some rainfall, though, over western and central parts of Missouri. This is with a disturbance that's pushing east and southeast. Now, all of us in the Heartland dry right now, and this area of showers is continuing to weaken. We had some stronger thunderstorms a little earlier today in this area, but you can see it kind of dwindling down and weakening to not much more than some light rain showers now. And there's a possibility as this passes across parts of the Ozarks later on this afternoon, there could be a few sprinkles here and perhaps even some sprinkles also down close to a frontal system across southern parts of the Boot Heel and northwest Tennessee. Other than that, overall, our chances of rain are fairly low, and we should have a dry day. But we do expect this storm system, or at least a disturbance that's triggering the showers now here, to pass over the entire Heartland tonight, and that could trigger some shower and thunderstorm activity as we go in the overnight hours. It's the daylight hours that should be dry for us. Heartland Weather Watchers reporting temperatures still a couple of 70s, but most everybody has risen into the 80s. 79 from Dr. Jack Deeby in Mount Vernon. In Paducah at the airport there in West Paducah, 81. 81 in Union City, or actually that should be Martin. 81 in Caruthersville and in Bluff this hour. We've got 80 degrees. John Halter said he's got 81, but comfortable enough for him to get out and work in his garden just a little bit as he's getting ready to plant some turnips. Now there's our stationary front down to the south of us. Once again, showers and thunderstorms will be fairly common through parts of Texas into the southeast. Possibility even of some severe weather here, but we're north of the frontal boundary and the air is a bit more stable, so we shouldn't see any strong thunderstorm activity like that. But we'll we'll watch that disturbance that's right now again across parts of western Missouri as it gets a little closer to us during the overnight. And temperatures tonight should be running in the 60s and 70s across the area with a little bit more cloud cover tonight than what we saw last night. So again today, plenty of sun, but a little bit of haze and a cloud here and there. Most of the rain staying to the west or to the south. And then as we work into tonight, a slight chance of rain for parts of the heartland as that disturbance passes over. So your forecast for us overall, partly cloudy and warm today, a sprinkle possible in the Ozarks and extreme southern sections, otherwise dry, 83 to 89, so highs mainly in the 80s, nobody in the 90s. For tonight, partly cloudy, a few showers around, 64 to 70, and tomorrow looks like partly cloudy and once again on the warm side with highs mainly again tomorrow in the 80s. Your Storm Team 7-day outlook, slight chance of storms as we head through the weekend with another disturbance, highs in the upper 80s to right around 90, so no big changes in the forecast and no major storm systems headed our way, so just scattered showers here and there during the weekend.
Right, and just enjoy this nice cooler weather.
Yes, it does feel pretty good out.
All right, thank you very much, Charlie. Well, how to lose weight? The answer always seems to be changing, but are there pills that can help without costing you your health? That's next.
Go! Ladies and gentlemen, cheer these people on. It's a no-hands.
And it's an in-your-face contest to crown the king of cream puffs. That's later.
You're watching Heartland News on KFVS 12.
A federal judge is standing by his decision to give the public access to the deposition of Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates in the government's antitrust case against the software maker. Microsoft is appealing the decision, but the company and legal figures in the case are still discussing ways to protect Microsoft's company secrets. Get set for higher airfares on some Delta and United routes. The companies are apparently taking advantage of a possible Northwest Airlines pilot strike by raising some business fares on routes where one of the carriers is Northwest's sole competition. Well, good news for homeowners. The National Association of Realtors says the average price of homes jumped 6% between April and June, rising to $131,000. Now that's up 6% from last year and above the 1.7% inflation rate over the same period. Well, grains and soybeans are lower on the Chicago Board of Trade today. September wheat is down 3 cents. December wheat also down 3 cents. September corn is down 1.5 cents. December down 1 1/4. August soybeans are down a penny. November soybeans down 2 1/4. And grain sorghum is selling at $2.10 a bushel. At the Peoria livestock, barrels and gilts are 50 cents higher. Top price 36. Sows are steady at $21.50 and $23. And boars are coming in at $21.50 and $15.50. Well, does your melon hurt just thinking of picking out the right produce? Well, if finding the right melon leaves you melancholy, well, maybe Mr. Food can cure your blues.
I don't think there's any produce department question asked more than how do I pick a good melon? And with all the melon varieties we're seeing in the market these days, the question comes more often. Well, first, the two that we see and buy the most, cantaloupe and honeydew. Now with both, there should be a tiny give to the touch of them on the stem end. And there's usually a sweetness to the smell. Now it's stronger on the cantaloupe, and without even having to say it, too soft and too smelly might mean overripe, so be careful. The skin on the honeydew should have a slight velvety feel to it. The netting on the cantaloupe, you know, that skin design, well, that has no bearing because different varieties have different netting. Same with shaking melons to see if they're swishing in juice. Some varieties ripen that way, others don't. Now, another favorite, the Crenshaw, known as the Queen of Melons, and the getting very, very popular orange-fleshed honeydews, and the Casabas, and the Santa Claus, and the Canaries, all should be picked the same way as a honeydew because they're all in the honeydew family. A Persian or any melon with a netting, choose like a cantaloupe. And if you want them sweetest when you eat them, don't eat them too close to the skin. Nice part is that right now, from mid-August right through September, nearly every melon that's on the counter will be sweet because it's peak of the melon season and the best choice of varieties also. Plus, with new growing methods and better selections, and now a little know-how, ooh, it's so good.
Well, most men don't like to be called cream puffs, but these men don't mind being crowned king of cream puffs. We'll tell you why next.
The power to put your business products and services on TV is right here on KFVS 12 in the Heartland Business File. Don't miss your chance to be part of an exclusive group of Heartland businesses featured throughout the day every week on KFVS 12. It's like handing your business card to thousands of customers all at one time. Just call Shirlene at 573-335-1212 to find out how your business can benefit from the Heartland Business File, only on KFVS 12.
It's back to school time. Will your kids have a new look when they hit the books? Well, new at 5, school uniforms. Heartland Crime Watch reporter Lisa Crane tells us about the movement towards bringing more of them into America's schools and how school administrators and law enforcement officials hope the uniforms will cut down on violence in the schoolyard. Join us for that and more at 5 o'clock. Well, who's the king of the cream puff? The prince of pastry, the real Puff Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, cheer these people on. It's a no-hands-eating contest.
That's what this Face First contest decided in Wisconsin, the cream puff capital of the world. Radio and TV personalities put down their microphones and put a puff in their face instead. The winner was decided by who could eat the fastest, not the most. Now the winner, a local radio reporter, and I guess that person's a real cream puff. I don't know.
You know, I'm going to look like that in about 5 minutes when we get off the air because I am hungry and I'm going to be eating some lunch.
You're going to be a Puff Daddy?
Well, I won't be eating cream puff, but I will be eating a sandwich.
Okay, Sandwich Daddy.
Sandwich Daddy.
There we go.
She's so quick.
Oh,
let's look at your forecast for today. Partly cloudy and warm. Highs mainly in the 80s. There is an area of rain in central Missouri that could give a few sprinkles out to folks in the Ozarks, but it looks like that's about it. We do have a slightly better chance of rain as we head into the nighttime hours, though, but overall, no problems expected. And today should be pretty nice.
And